Uh, a very good morning to everybody. Today we have a presentation on Introduction to Waiting for Godot by semester 2 students. The group of students are going to introduce us waiting for Godot. So let us start our presentation. I think Vishwa will start with the beginning, and then we will have other students continuing to give an introduction to waiting for Godot. Yes, so Vishwa, you can start.
Good afternoon, everyone. Me and my group member Khushi, Maya, Pallavi, and Yashraj, we are presenting introductory presentation on waiting for Godot. I will present author introduction. Uh, First points to ponder: author introduction, works, recognitions, and style, theater of the absurd, character of the play, psychoanalyst reading of the characters, plot summary of the play, themes of the play, symbols of the play, thus searching for the self, existentialism in the play, myths of Sisyphus, circular nature of the play, and deconstruction analysis of the play. Author introduction, full name Samuel Barclay Beckett. He was an Irish novelist, dramatist, short story writer, theatre director, poet, literary translator. He born in Dublin, Ireland in 1906 and died in 1989. His work, known for his bleak, impersonal, and tragicomic depictions of life, often using black comedy and nonsense, and his pen name is Andrew Baylis. And in 1929, Beckett published his first work, a critical essay on Untitled, Dante Bruno Vico Joyce. Most famous for the play Waiting for Godot, 1953, considered a masterpiece of the theatre of the absurd. Other notable work include the play like Edgam, 1957, and Happy Days, 1961, novels like Murphy, 1930, and Molo, 1951, and a short story like More Pigs Than Kicks, 1934. Wrote in both English and French, often translating his own work. Recognition award the Nobel Prize in Literary in 1969, widely considered one of the most important and influential writers of the 20th century. Additional points: participated in the French resistance during World War II, had a close relationship with Irish author James Joyce. His work continued to be performed, studied, and analyzed around the world. Style became increasingly minimalist as his career progressed, with more aesthetic and linguistic experimentations, often used techniques like stream of consciousness, repetitions, and self-reference. Beckett was a part of the literary movement called modernism. He wrote a radio work in his life, and Beckett wrote his last work, the 1988 poem "What Is the Word?" And his radio works like "All the Fall," "Rough for Radio 1," and "Rough for Radio 2," words and music. I would call like to Khushi further.
Ideal theater of absurd. What is theater of the absurd? The theater of the absurd is a term coined by critic Martin Essing in his essay Theater of the Absurd. The term is used for the work of a number of playwrights, mostly written in the 1950th century and 1960th century, which were written by a number of primarily European playwrights in the late 1950th century. Their work simply expressed the thought of human existence that has no meaning or purpose. If a trouble comes, some logic is given on a matter, it simply makes the situation and further leads to silence. A definition of the theater of the absurd. Merriam-Webster dictionary defines the term as theater that seeks to represent the absurdity of human existence in a meaningless universe by bizarre or fantastic means. History of the theater of the absurd. Influenced by existentialism, the theater of the absurd was deeply influenced by existentialist philosophy, which emphasized the individual's struggle to find meaning and purpose in a inherently meaningless and chaotic world. Originated to experimental theater in Paris, the movement began in the form of experimental theater in Paris during the mid-20th century, where playwrights and artists sought to break away from the traditional theatrical convention and explore new forms of expression. Absurdist play written in French. Many of the key works of the theatre of the absurd were originally written in French, reflecting the movement's origin in Parisian experimental theatre. Absurd elements seen in Aristophanes' Greek drama. Elements of absurdity, characterized by wild humor, can be traced back to the plays of Aristophanes, an ancient Greek playwright known for his satirical and absurd comedies. Morality plays of Middle Ages as a precursor. The theatre of the absurd can also be seen as the drawing inspiration from the morality plays of the Middle Ages, which often depicted characters grappling with existential dilemmas and moral ambiguity. Ibsen and Strindberg, including some absurd elements, playwrights such Ibsen and Strindberg, although predicting the theatre of the absurd movement, incorporated elements of the absurdity and existential themes into their works. Alfred Jerry Uburo as a significant precursor. Alfred Jerry's play Uburo is considered as a significant precursor to the theatre of the absurd, with its surreal and nonsensical narrative challenging traditional and theoretical norms. World War II catalyzed the movement, prompting a contemplation of absurd existence. The chaotic atmosphere of World War II prompted artists and intellectuals to confront the absurdity of human existence, leading to the emergence of the theatre of the absurd as a response to existential crisis of the time. This is the exam of the absurd theatre. First, Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot. In detail, other members to information. Walter Wicks, three plays of the absurd. Harold Pinter, The Birthday Party. Witold Bromwich, The Marriage. Ideal, and further information I call Pallavi.
Thank you, Khushi. Now let's discuss plot summary of the play. The plot revolves around two characters, Vladimir and Estrogen, who are waiting for someone named Godot by a tree on desolate road. The play divides into two acts, and let's the act one start with the we can say the play opens in a country road. Two men, Vladimir and Estrogen, meet there by a leafless tree. Their conversation reveals that they are both waiting for same person to arrive. His name is Godot, and neither of them is sure if they have met him before or if he would indeed ever arrive. Vladimir and Estrogen aren't aware of the reason for why they exist, and they hope that Godot has some answers of their questions. Two of them are waiting. Two other men, Pozo and Lucky, enter. And Pozo is a master, and Lucky is his slave. Pozo talks to Vladimir and Estrogen. He treats Lucky horribly and shares his intention to sell him at the market. We can say that he shows his mastery over his slave. At the point, Pozo commands Lucky to think. So we can find that what extent he command him to follow his commands. Lucky responds by performing a dance and special monologues. Eventually, Pozo and Lucky leave for the market. Vladimir and Estrogen keep waiting for Godot. Then a boy enters. He introduces himself as a Godot's messenger and informs the two men that Godot wouldn't arrive tonight, but the next day. The boy exists, and Vladimir and Estrogen declare that they will also live, but they stay where they are. And here Act One ends, and Godot never arrives. We can find that characters engage in various conversation while these all waiting and conversation and encounters and comedic routines to pass their times. Uh, Act 2 opens on that following day. Vladimir and Estrogen are still waiting by that tree, which has now grown leaves. Uh, Pozo and Lucky return, but they are changed. Pozo is now blind, and Lucky has become mute. Pozo doesn't remember ever having met the two other men. Estrogen also forgets that he met Pozo and Lucky. The master and servant leave, and Vladimir and Estrogen keep waiting for Godot. Soon the boy comes again and lets Vladimir and Estrogen know that Godot will not be coming. The boy also doesn't remember ever having met the two men before. Before he leaves, he even insists that he is not the same boy that visited them the day before. To wait for God was Vladimir's and Estrogen's only purpose in life. We can find that by this story that only purpose of their life is to meet Godot. In their frustration and desperation, they consider committing suicide. However, they realize that they don't have any rope, and they announces that they will leave to get rope and come back the next day, but they stay where they are. Like we can say that the Estrogen and Vladimir, the two main characters, are unaware about their existence. They are questioning themselves. The play is characterized by its minimalist settings, existential themes, and open-ended conclusion, leaving audiences to interpret his deeper meanings. Now let's move forward. Characters of Waiting for Godot. Let's first see Vladimir. His nickname was Didi. That Estrogen called him Didi. He is one of the two main characters, and Vladimir is more intellectual and tends to take the lead in their discussion and activities while waiting for Godot. He often questions their situation and try to pass the time through conversation and activities. And he is more active and we can say that optimistic than Estrogen. Estrogen, his nickname is Gogo, like the second main character, and Estrogen is more lethargic and prone to complaining. He always complaining that why we are here, for whom we are waiting, for whom, and see my boots are not proper. He often struggle with his boots and has difficulty to remembering past events. That who are you? For whom and he also forgets that who is Pozo and Lucky. He relies on Vladimir for support and company during their wait, and he always say yes in decision of Vladimir. Next character is Pozo. Pozo is a wealthy landowner, and he passed through that area where Vladimir and Estrogen were waiting for Godot. He travels with his slave Lucky, and we can find that in his body language he is behaved like he is a master and very cruel master that he owns his slave. Pozo is bombastic and authoritative and treats Lucky very poorly. That he is not he is his slave, but in very cruel manner he treats him. Next character is Lucky. Lucky is Pozo's slave. He is treated more like a servant or a pack of animals. Lucky is a silent for most of the play until Pozo orders him to think and speak. By this extent, we can find that how he rely on his master's commands. When he does, he delivers a long, nonsensical monologue that showcases his mental anguish, that he is not mentally stable. Next character is the boy. He appears twice in the play, delivering message from Godot to Vladimir and Istros. The boy is a young and seems to have a connection with Godot, though the nature of his connection is unclear. That we can find that in Act One, that boy is. We cannot clearly say that the boy is the same or not in second act. and by this character, this boy's character, we can have some information about Godot, that he is a good master, he is good, he has good connection with everyone, he has good heart. We can find a little information about Godot. Next character is Godot. We can find that this character is central character of the play, but it is an elusive character in the play. He is a mysterious and awaited by Vladimir and Estrogen. He never appears in the play, leaving identity ambiguous. Always listen that Godot is not coming today. He will arrive tomorrow symbolizes and but by this character he symbolizes hope and salvation or higher power, that someone is questioning about themselves, who were dependent over on that higher power. It represents humanity's pursuit of purpose and fulfillment. That absence embodies uncertainty and elusiveness of meaning in existence. Let's say about psychoanalytic reading of the characters. We can find that if we psychoanalytic if we done psychoanalytic reading of the characters, we can find that there are not very deep meaning of their conversation. That consciousness in relation to waiting. Waiting for Godot explores deep thoughts and feelings, and during waiting, revealing insights about human consciousness and existence. In that context, we can find that psychoanalytic term, that waiting is not for just pass the time, but waiting is a term. We can say that in psychoanalytic term, it's called a limbo. It means to wait for someone, and that experience and that inner conflicts, thoughts, and trauma. They all we can find that in characters. They also question about their existence. Also, we can find uncertainty and waiting. Vladimir and Estrogen wait uncertainty and pondering existence and the unknown future, reflecting on the significance of waiting. They are not aware about what future holds, but they are still waiting for someone. Coping mechanisms in relation to waiting. Waiting for Godot characters cope differently, changing situations or emotions, supporting each other amidst the uncertainty and stress, despite of their conversation and their we can find that they are not agree with each other. Sometimes they are not agree each other's opinion, but they still support each other in amidst this trauma or this stressful environment. Ways of waiting. Waiting is a more than a counting time. It's a finding meaning in anticipation. Vladimir waits with a purpose. Estrogen feels restlessness. We can find Vladimir is more optimistic, that he says that no, Godot is coming, and he guides for our existence. And Estrogen feels like let's for whom we were waiting for. Let's run away from here. So we can find that this type of psychoanalytic reading we can find in characters of Waiting for Godot play. Now, for further discussion, I would like to call Maya. Thank you.
I present the themes of the play. First, absurdity of existence. Absurdly wait endlessly for, for an unchanged situation to change when it is clear Godot will never come. They occasionally discuss ending their wait by hanging themselves or simply leaving, but absurdly they never take any action. Although they agree there is nothing to be done, they work absurdly hard to fill the time while they wait. Next, purposelessness of life. None of the characters in Waiting for Godot has a meaningful purpose. Waiting for Godot might seem to give Vladimir and Extragon a purpose, but the fact that Godot never arrives renders their waiting meaningless. Next, folly of seeking meaning. Although it is unclear who or what Godot represents by waiting for him, Vladimir and hexagon are clearly seeking some type of meaning outside themselves. Next, uncertainty of time. Time is a slippery thing in waiting for Godot. It seems to pass normally during the period the characters are not the stage, with predictable milestones such as the sunset and moonrise. Although the characters are sometimes confused about it. The symbols of the play. First, leafless tree. The tree near which Hexagon and Vladimir meet is completely bare of leaves at the beginning of the play. It represents the only organic element in the setting. History portrays the wood as barren and lifeless, emphasizing the lack of purpose and meaning the characters must contend with. Next, Lucky Bagels. Lucky never put down the item he carries, except, except when it is necessary to fulfill one of Pozo's orders. Then he immediately picks them up again, even when he has not been told to do so and there is no purpose in it. His action echoes the human tendency of enslavement to burden hold, holding onto them even when during so is unnecessary. Pozo's rope. Pozo's rope is the only rope that physically appears in the play, and it represents the balance of power in the relationship between Pozos and Lucky. In Act 1, Pozos dominates Lucky with a rope half the length of the stage. Pozos drives Lucky by means of the rope passed around his neck, and Lucky is often the recipient of Pozos' whip. Next, duality. Duality is everywhere is waiting for Godot. Every character has a counterpart, and the pet characters often complement and construct each other. Vladimir and Hexagon seem nearly identical at first, but construction characteristics show them to be essentially two, two different parts of whole. Pozo and Lucky are opposite in status, but they also share a mutual dependence. Heads. Heads are worn by Vladimir, Hexagon, Lucky, and Pozo, and are a vehicle for the characters to show their identities. For example, Lucky needs his head in order to think. Pozo show him power over Lucky think, taking his servant's head off. Vladimir, the thinker of the two main characters, is fixated on his head, while Hexagon, who is more realistic, thinking first of his goods. Further, more information I call Yashraj.
Thank you, Maya, and hello, everyone. Now we have the background information about the weighting of borders we have discussed. We have discussed about the characters, themes, symbols, and the story. Now we know the plot. We know. Now we are going to interpret like what type of interpretation has given by different scholars and in different articles. The searching for the self. It is like one of the article. It is written by Martin Esley, and this he talks about when Alan Snyder, who was the first American production of the Waiting for Godot, asked Beckett, Samuel Beckett, the writer of the play, who or what was the meant by a Godot? Who is Godot? He asked him. Beckett answered, "If I knew, I would have said so in the play." So he himself, the writer himself, said, "I don't know who is Godot." So this statement allows for open interpretation of the play according to individual perspective. Like whatever we think, we can get a meaning out of the Godot. The subject of the play is not Godot, but waiting. Now the title is waiting for Godot, but the importance is not given to the Godot, but the waiting, according to Martin S.G. In the the article it is given, and also in the play we find that Pozo remarks within the dialogue regarding the mundane nature of existence. When the Estragon asked him that how do you get blind and what happened to you, and he says that when did it happen to you, he answered that have you not done tormenting me with your accursed time? One day is not enough for you. One day, any other day, he went dumb. He went means the lucky. One day I went blind, now he is blind in the second scene. One day we will go deaf. One day we were born. One day we will die. The same day, same second. They given birth as tried to a grave. The light gleams an instant, then it's night once more. It is that every day is the common, every day is the same. Then why are you asking this stupid question? So it shows that how the meaningful life it is. In the second thing we find here, we can we have the personal God with the divine apathy, his speechlessness, aphasia, and his lack of the capacity of terror, amazement, who loves us dearly and the same extent. It is talking about the God who will plunge into the torments of hell. In the other words, God who does not communicate with us, cannot feel for us, and condemn us for reason to unknown. Not fearful of the heaven and death, what will happen after the death. It is like we have made that because we are like tired of waiting. That in the life which is meaningless, we find meaning through this the concept of heaven and hell. The routine of waiting for Godot stands for habit, which prevents us from reaching the painful but fruitful awareness of the full reality of being. We know that through the play, we know that all the time we feel how meaningless life is. The hope of salvation may be merely the evasion of the suffering and anguish that spring from the facing the reality of the human condition. In human condition, we find that we are waiting for the salvation. Same way they are waiting for the Godot to like make their life meaningful. We are also in the life we are waiting for some salvation. The play is based on the existentialism. First of all, let's discuss what is existentialism. Existentialism is the philosophy that emphasizes individual existence, freedom, and choice. It is the view that humans define their own meaning in life and try to make rational decisions despite existing in a irrational universe. We find our own meaning in the life. Everybody finds their own meaning. It focuses on the question of the human existence and feeling that there is no purpose or explanation of the core of existence. There is no purpose in the life. It holds that there is no God or any other transcendent force. The only way to counter this nothingness and hence to find meaning in life is by embracing existence, finding our own meaning. In the play, we also witness the recurring theme of the suggest that there is nothing inherently meaningful in the world. Characters endeavors to create the significance for themselves, striving to find the purpose in their life. In the many dialogue, we find that nothing to be done. Like many times, what should we do? There is nothing to be done. So that type of dialogue we also find in the play. One of the article essay written by Albert Camus on the myth of Sisyphus. Myth of the Sisyphus is the Greek myth, and the main character is Sisyphus. He has punishment that he has to continuously climbing the stone over the mountain, and then the stone again comes down, and then again he has to put it on the mountain. So it is like the ridiculous act, monotonous act he has to do for whole life. So in the Albert Camus, he gives the concept of existentialism with the help of this myth of Sisyphus. It is during that written. It is like from the article, the Camus write. It is during that written that pose that Sisyphus interests me. A face that toils so close to the stones is already stone itself. It is already stone itself. I see that man going back down with a heavy yet measured step toward the torment of which he will never know the end. That hour like a breathing space, which returns as surely as his suffering. That is the hour of consciousness. Same way we in the life we also find, in the play we also find the meaningless, tormenting, the monotonous act we do all the time, all our life. At each of those moments when he leaves the heights and gradually sinks towards the layers of the gods, he is superior to his fate. He is stronger than his rock. In the end of the article, end of the essay, Albert Camus also writes that we must consider Sisyphus as a happy man. He is happy. We have to consider because he is finding his own meaning in the act of this climbing the rock over the mountain. Now, how we connect with the play. In Samuel Beckett's play Waiting for Godot, the characters Vladimir and Estragon similarly find themselves in the situation that seems absurd and devoid of meaning. They wait endlessly for someone named Godot who never arrives. They are doing the same activity. Like Sisyphus, they are caught in the cycle of repetition and futility. However, much like Camus' interpretation of the Sisyphus, finding meaning in his consciousness during the descent, Vladimir and Estragon find solace and companionship in each other's company during their wait. They talk each other and then how they pass the time. They play with the hats, they play with the boots, so these how they in the company they pass the time. The same way that climbing the rocks, the Sisyphus passes the time. In their seemingly pointless existence, they find moments of connection, reflection, and even humor. In the same way, we find the humor in the play. The nature of the play. For example, any other novel, any other play, if you find, then there is a in the traditional way we find the linear. There is a we can say mm, the whole of the rise of the drama, the rise of the action, and the fall of the action. Pyramid type of action we find. But in the play, we find the circular nature. It is going in the act way. Act one, we find Vladimir and Estrigan alone. Act two, we find that they are alone. Arrival of the Pozo and Lucky speech, same way arrival of Pozo and Lucky, say Act 2, same the thing. Departure of Pozo and Lucky, Vladimir and Estragan alone, same with departure of Pozo and Lucky, Vladimir and Estragan alone. Act 1 and Act 2, same thing we find. Arrival of a boy messenger, arrival of a boy messenger, departure of the boy messenger, Vladimir and Estragan alone, again that we find in the Act 2. The circular, it shows the daily activity of them, like the leaves also say that they don't know how much time they have passed, but still they are doing the same way, like for it is like the another day which would be the same day for them. It shows that in the act one, we also find the same dialogues. Estragon, well, shall we go? Vladimir, yes, let's go. They do not move. In the act two, same thing we find Vladimir. Well, shall we go? Yes, let's go. They do not move. They still on that location. The arrival of a boy and the news of Godot will not come the same thing. Finally, the most important, there are the larger concepts. First, the suffering of the tramps. Second, their attempts, however futile, to pass the time. Third, their attempts to part, and ultimately their incessant waiting for Godot. All these make two acts clearly repetitive. The circular in the structure and the fact that these repetitions are so obvious in the play is Beckett's manner in the breaking away from the traditional play, as we have discussed, the linear, the rise and fall action, the play, and of the asserting the uniqueness of his own circular nature. Now, these construction analysis of the play, we find the metaphysics of the presence of Messiah. We find the reference of Bible like the Old Testament, or we can consider the New Testament. Second coming will reading the same way they are fighting. We can read the play in the religious reading. We can see that they are waiting for God, the second coming, Jesus. So that we find they also taken the granted that it is dominant source of redemption, salvation and salvation. They attempt to discover their meaning, origin, and truth under the umbrella of the presupposed Messiah logos, Godot. It is in the article by Akhtar. He wrote that. And aporia. In aporia, we find that we can't take a same meaning of the same word, like different meaning, different interpretation comes from the one word. The word Godot in the play is put in the structure capable of more multiple meanings, and its immediate recognition are deferred as the postponed and defamiliarization and ambiguity. We can't find the same meaning. We can't find the one meaning of the word Godot, what they are waiting for. The ambiguity and estrangement perturbed and referability between Godot and its real entity and its ideal and symbolic presentation in the text, which brings Samuel Beckett very close to the Derridian rejection of the semantic singularity and fixity of the meaning and hidden transcendental meaning that we find in the Derridian concept also, the aporia. We find the binary opposition, like in the characters we also find, in the acts we also we can see in the play Waiting for God, the characters are entangled with the wave of binary opposition. Both characters are, one is optimistic, one is pessimistic, one is thinking, one is starting the conversation. So we find they are opposite of each other. These polar opposites are used at the text as the highly applied line of the condemnation or to the one which is depreciated. The characters of the play resort the contrast and comparison. We find the contrast in the character. We can also compare the characters whenever they confront the aporetic and manically offensive mode. We find that. And the logocentrism. First of all, logocentrism means we can find that one word is there and then we can interpret from it one meaning. De-logocentrism is it's like in the language we don't find the meaning. Like in the dialogues they are talking about, we don't find any meaning. We are like meaninglessly speaking to each other. We find in the play. So it is like the de-logocentrism we find. The nameability is also one of the forms of Derridian de-logocentrism, because nominalism is a logocentric phenomenon in the language. We find the play that the boy who is the messenger of the god is unnamed. Vladimir and Estragon, Pozo and Lucky are unfamiliar types of names, and even Godot is no name of any person. We don't find the Godot type of name, it is like unnameable. The title of one of the Samuel Beckett's plays is also unnameable, in which unnameable is the central character. We don't find any meaning. Waiting for Godot. We don't consider it like it's like a waiting and the Godot. So it is like the title itself is meaningless, absurd. In conclusion, we can find that the play is existential exploration in the meaningless word, absurdity of human existence and purpose we find in the characters in the play, endless waiting symbolizing life's uncertainties, repetition emphasizing monotony and existential ennui, friendship amidst the despair and bleak landscapes, time spaces and the futility of waiting. Open-endedness invites the reflection and interpretation. It is open for all. Like everyone can find their own meaning in Waiting for Godot. For conclusion and for many parts, I have taken the help of ChatGPT. Uh, these are the references, and thank you.
Please unmute the mic there, so you can listen my voice. Have you unmuted? Yeah. Are you able to listen? You can show thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. So it was a very good presentation. Except for two students like Vishwa and Maya, you both still need to speak, need to improve also slightly. Okay? Do some rehearsal. Last time also during presentations we told you to improve your speech, so you are still, it seems, not working properly on your speech or your spoken skills. Attend all classes first, that is important, and then try to speak every day something in English. Without that you will not be able to improve your thing. So both of you needs to take care of those things, otherwise all this thing again we'll have to repeat at the end of the semester when presentations will be made. All of the students did quite well. Khushi and Pallavi also presented very well. And Yashraj has brought very good articles. So you have selected the articles from the material site and quite well presented also. So good choice of articles is done there. And quite well, the gist of the articles was presented. In the citation, you should have referred to other all those names also, which you spoke, but you're not able to see. So let me share a screen so the others also can learn, and it becomes a reminder for everybody also. So this was a good article. We will refer to this when we study also, search for the self. And this was by Martin Esslin. So you spoke, but there was no reference to that. You have to start by saying that Martin Esslin in this book, this article is written. That should how it should begin. So proper credit should be given to the people who are pioneers in these ideas. This also existentialism. So if you have referred to any specific resource, that should be mentioned. For Myth of Sisyphus, Albert Camus, you referred to there. And this also were some of the articles. This also was good reference, deconstructive analysis of the article, which is cited. In the similar manner, the others should also have been cited. For example, Akhtar Javed you have cited for deconstructive study. Then other things you have not cited. This Martin Esslin or the other reference existentialism should also. It is also good that you have mentioned ChatGPT also, because you have consulted ChatGPT. So that also should be mentioned. That also is something good that you have done here. So I hope this is what others also will learn. So when you make your presentations, you can bring in some good articles also at the end to talk about them. That adds value to your understanding and your presentations also. Yesterday, we have done the classroom activity about how to explore JSTOR collection of articles. And now it becomes easy for you to find quality articles on your own way also. There is no need to give as such an excuse that we don't know where are the articles. Like some of you might say that for this group, it was good because some articles were given on the material website. So they were able to use, but in our text, articles were not given. So in case that excuse sprouts in your mind, before that, let me tell that we have already done yesterday an activity wherein you can find quality articles from something magical that is in your pocket, the mobile device that you have, and MKBU has the e-library. From that only you have to go. So you don't have to travel anywhere or to go and meet anybody or nothing you have to do. So you can also try that. So we hope in a remaining articles, we will see that this also is the benchmark that is set, and everybody will try to see that they add some more value to whatever presentations they are making. So basically about the author is done quite well by everybody. So far we have seen 4 to 5 presentations. About the author, quite well everybody is doing. About the text also is quite well done by everybody. Themes are identified very well. Characters are also identified very well. So the basic understanding of all the text is done quite well, even in poetry or in drama or novel. Something more that we add now is articles, quality articles, referring to and talking about those articles. And when we talk about articles, we mention the name of the person, where that article is published, where you have read, and what are the main ideas which you can refer to, and you can do the conclusion also. Apart from this, if you can find any other valuable things in 1 or 2 slides, that also you can add when you make your presentations. Okay, so we are meeting in the class now. Let me end the live stream.